today.
That makes sense.
Morning, kids.
Morning.
Morning. Cat woke us up. Hour and 15 minutes ago. I can't math. Cat woke us up a long time ago. It was not fun.
You know what else is not fun to be woken up by?
Kids?
Oh, yes. Especially when there's two in the bed.
Wait, what?
I've got two kids.
Oh, two. You said, okay.
Yeah, mom and dad are already in the bed, and then the two kids want in on the bed, and then it's just like feet everywhere.
Our Fuzzy likes to walk on our faces and put paws on our faces. Litter paws.
Kim keeps trying to domesticate this feral cat. I'm waiting for that to happen to me. I'm going to be so angry.
The funny part is that it bothers Steve, but it doesn't bother me. Like he's really like, the cat touches his face and he like jerks awake and he like shoves her to the side, and then if that happens too many times in one night, he'll get really cranky, like, oh, freaking cat, and she's gotta be on my face, or whatever. He gets all mad about it, and I'm just like, she will actually stand with two paws on one side of my head and two paws on the other, so like her belly is like not quite smothering me because I can still breathe, but it hurts. She's like on my face, and I just like, whatever. I just lay there. I don't even care.
Nope.
We just closed the door.
Oh, I asked him about that, and the problem is if we close the door, she will sit outside the door and yowl continuously all night.
You can't do that with kids. They've got hands.
No, they have opposable thumbs, yeah.
Yeah.
We have been giving... we've been giving serious discussion to getting a lock on the inside of the door, though.
You mean on the outside of the door?
And I'd be like
the
on
inside of the room.
That way the kids can't open it.
So that
Gur is trying to say their door on the outside to keep them from leaving their room.
Well, no, that's
what he's implying.
Yeah.
They're house trained, so they can, go to the bathroom still. They just can't keep coming into our room. That's what I'm getting.
Oh, you're trying to put a lock on your door.
Yes.
Got it. Okay. I thought you meant the kids' door. Yeah. There was a point when the kids were small enough that like we literally turned the doorknobs inside out because, like, I mean, the fact that you don't have a lock on your door sounds strange to me because here, like the locks are meaningless. They're just called privacy locks. It's just enough to, like, keep the door shut if someone's in there. But yeah, no, we turned the doorknobs around so that the lock was on the outside, and like we would put the kids in their room at night and then lock the door. It's like, you're not coming out. That was so long ago.
That sounds nice. We've never been able to do that. The kids are too much trouble. Even when they still had cots, we couldn't do that.
They still had what?
Cots.
Cots, okay.
I'm thinking he's meaning like toddler beds or a crib.
I think it's... Great, now I've got to translate for you bastards.
I know. Here in confused silence, there was another noise here locally, and I didn't hear what you said. So,
okay, yes, crib apparently is your version of what we call a cot.
Oh, but
Yeah,
we call okay. There we do have cots. They're a totally different item, but we do
It's
have
a
cots.
military term, yeah.
Yeah.
or it's that thing you take camping so you don't have to sleep on the ground.
That too.
A swag.
Is that what that's called in Australia?
No, that's what
Swag
you
is
get
a-
when you go to the convention and they give
Right.
you a bag full of goodies.
Oh yeah. Okay. Forget about that.
Swag bag.
That's also a swag.
Australia is such a silly place. Imagine if it were real.
Yeah.
How do you think I feel? Because, more than once, Grim has said that she's coming home with chips. And I legit have to think, okay, does she
Do you mean
mean
potato chips or like French fries?
exactly in that regard?
Okay.
Like, first of all,
Seraphis, you
yeah.
don't feel because imaginary people don't have feelings. I've been up for 23 hours. I don't care at this point.
Oh jeez. Go to bed. Get some sleep.
And my sympathy for you is basically the only thing that's stopping me from calling you a cunt.
You're more than welcome to. I won't be upset. I've dealt with you long enough at this point. And Tori, I am here because I still feel guilty about not being here last week.
You
Oh.
should.
So,
Yeah, how dare you?
I did listen to the conversation later. I don't remember any of it. I just remember it being pretty good, but
Oh, that's
I don't
okay. I don't
remember any of
remember
it
either. Yeah, but I was there for it.
Yeah. That's the funny part. I'm actually trying to remember like which week last week was.
Episode 30.
For me, it's been like that for 2 years.
Sometimes it feels like yesterday or like a week ago was when the kids was like still born. Because it's still in that couple of years kind of thing. So sometimes it's like, man, I can really remember when they were born. It feels like it was just a week ago. And then I think, actually, what the fuck happened a week ago?
Memories are definitely funky like that.
Before we started, I was like, oh yeah, it's been like a week since I started doing the diet. And I was like, no, wait. Last week was when I had D&D, which means it was the week before that. Oh, it's been 2 weeks. It's been 2 weeks. Which, by the way, that whole diet thing absolutely gets blown out the window every fortnight for the D&D game, because I discovered that the natural crap, what do you guys call them? Like they're snakes, but they're jelly babies.
Oh, are you talking about like the
gummy
candy?
worms.
Gummy worms?
Yes, gummy worms. Fine,
Yeah.
thank you. Yes. Those things, apparently the serving size is 2.
Yep, that sounds about right.
Okay, hold up. You realize that serving size is literally just an illusion, right?
No. But this is for working out like the carbs for it, right?
Yeah, when you're trying to.
No. The serving size that's what they sent to the lab to get tested. They know that you're going to eat some different amount. Come on, let's be honest. Like your bowl of Frosted Flakes or whatever the hell you guys have down there. Okay,
Cocoa
says,
Puffs?
oh, sure, serving size, half a cup. Who in the hell eats half a cup of cereal?
I do.
Only half a cup. Really?
Except I don't eat cereal. But so, for example, one of my favorite breakfasts is, which I don't always get to have, but one of my favorite breakfasts is it's rice with hamburger with eggs sunny side up on top, right? And then a Japanese barbecue sauce drizzled on it. And but we don't always have hamburger. But Steve asked me yesterday if I wanted breakfast, and I said, yeah, I want eggs. And he said, how many? I said 2. And they said, do you want rice with it? And I said, a little bit. And then he nods, and I was like, oh, no. He doesn't understand what I mean by a little bit. So I turned around and I said, like a quarter of a cup. And he goes, that doesn't seem like a lot. And I'm like, I know, but it's a lot to me. Like my portion sizes are what other people would consider absurdly small, but I like that's how much I want to eat of that particular thing. And oftentimes, like I will weigh out an ounce of cheese, because if you look on block cheese, it's like 1 ounce is like 110 calories on cheddar. So I will put the bowl in the scale, and when I do shredded cheese, I just shred it right into that bowl, right on the scale. And then when it hits an ounce, I'm like, whoa, I'm good, because actually an ounce of shredded cheese is quite a bit. And so like I will use, and like when I'm scooping out rice, like if we have rice and I scoop it, I actually use a half cup, but like Tori, not a spoon, but a half cup.
But Tori, you're mixing that with other things. Yes. Cereal, you're just usually eating the cereal. And I'm sorry, if I'm eating cereal, I'm getting me a bowl of cereal, which I like, like I said, serving size will say like half a cup. Bull crap. I'm, as Brian's like, yeah, I do half a cup. Yeah, half a cup times what, 5?
No, sorry. Times 1, because I mean, I have a little more self-control than that.
Fine.
That's right. Well, I mean, some people have to pay attention to that kind of shit. That's why it's listed.
And that's fair. But it's just I to this day, after almost 50 years, I'm like, I don't think I've ever eaten half a cup of cereal.
Well, you need to have a little more self-control.
No, I need a little more cereal. Otherwise, I'm going to be hungry.
Well, as we were just discussing earlier, maybe having so much cereal is what's making you hungry.
That's right.
That's fair, but I also don't really eat. I don't really eat that much cereal, anyways. I just use that as an example because, again, to me, whatever they put down as the serving size, I just picked half a cup because it seemed ridiculously low to me. I think they're usually like a cup or whatever.
You're not wrong in the fact that most people consider the serving sizes like absurd and more as just like a bizarre unit of measurement than anything else. And most people I know do not, as you say, they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't eat just half a cup, but at least like my family and friends and people I know. And in addition to that, said people that I know are all overweight. So,
but that's the thing is like I do know that it is a bit of a marketing tool because again, they're going to like if you notice like all sorts of stuff, always seems that like the serving size is usually comes out to like 200 calories.
Well, what they want you to do is they want you to look at it and go, oh, it's only 200 calories. I can have this. And what you're actually doing is eating 3 or 4 servings.
Right, exactly. It's only 200 calories. Okay, I can do that. But then it's 2 gummy worms, when you're wanting 8 gummy worms. But they already tricked your brain thinking that it was 2.
I would counter argue that anyone who is actually bothering to flip that thing around and look at the number of calories on the back is already going to be looking also at serving sizes. You know what I mean? Like everyone who cares enough to look at how many calories are even in there is someone who is conscious of it, looking for it, and is going to be paying attention to serving size and on purposely not having that many. Anyone else who's going to just eat 8 of them does not even look at the back. They just open it and eat 8 gummy worms.
Right.
And this is why the D&D game has become my designated cheat day, because there's no way I'm going 8 fucking hours or more doing 2.5, if we're lucky, rounds of combat, having hours of arguments over fucking rules, and I'm going to not keep my energy up by scoffing down snakes during that time.
Maybe if you were playing and invested in the game, you would forget about the food. But no, instead everyone just wants to argue about the 2 rounds of combat.
And or
I don't know, man. D&D and food just kind of go role playing and food just kind of go hand in hand to me.
That's true.
Snack food. I would specify snack food because I've had several D&Ds where, because we moved locations, and the one of my players, who, because I play with a dad and mom and their daughter, the mom always has like a meal prepared, or she did tacos. She had everything laid out and we had to assemble our own tacos, or she did bread bowls last time. And it's like, when we all have a big meal in front of us, we don't play at all. We're just sitting at a table having dinner together at that point. So I would insert snack food. It's critical. Like finger food, munchy food, stuff that you can put one in your mouth.
Consider pizza to be not necessarily a meal. Pizza is a snack food.
I wouldn't have thought so, but I actually made, for the game yesterday, I made pizza pockets. I made the dough, and I actually rolled out the dough and then filled them and baked them and made little mini pizza thingies.
I mean, I guess the kind of pizza, like a thin crust, square cut pizza, I could see as a snack food. But like a Chicago style, not necessarily a Chicago deep dish, but like Chicago thick crust, couple of pieces of that.
You just have to believe in yourself.
Any pizza is a personal pan pizza if you believe hard enough.
That's right.
Oh my goodness. Speaking about portions and serving sizes. But now,
I mean, if I'm allowed to have one piece of pie, if I eat the whole thing, I mean, that's technically just one piece.
That's true. That's true.
I will say that I don't think I've got a picture of it around that I can probably show off, but next time we do a pizza scroll, I am definitely going to take a picture so I can show everyone. They are fucking delicious. So
a pizza scroll, is this like invaders from an alien world?
Not scroll.
No.
So you kind of make it like a normal pizza, but you don't cook the dough, and then you roll it up carefully so that it goes into, twirly.
It's like a cinnamon roll, but with mozzarella and pepperoni.
Yeah, and then you put it in the oven and cook it. Yep.
And then you slice.
Do you roll?
Cat.
Yeah. It got to a point, I think it was last year, that Grim was making 2, one for her and the kids, and one for me.
Actually, I kind of want to try that now, because I could take the dough that I made the pockets out of, which is sort of a not quite croissant type roll dough.
30-centimeter ruler. That's how long it usually ends up getting to, with like a.
I have the same problem.
10. I had a feeling you were going to go there.
Look, it's not the size of the pizza scroll; it's how you use it.
It really is.
It's what you put. It's what you stuff in it. I mean, come on, that was too easy.
Funny, Grumpy. To what Grumpy mentioned about grapefruit down there, but that was another thing I was going to mention. That's like, how you were saying about you're not going to go a whole session without eating more than 2 gummy worms because 2 is so little. Fantastic cheat for that is just to like seriously get an apple and slice it up, or a pear. Pears are much sweeter, so pears are nice and they cut real easily because they're usually not hard, at least if you get a ripe one. And so it's like you get that and then you sit there and just snack on that, and you can eat like, how it would take what 4 to wait, you said 70 per 2 worms? It was 70 calories for 2 worms.
70 carbs for 2 worms.
Oh, carbs, but not calories.
I don't remember what the calories are. I don't have the bag on me.
Because basically, in a medium-sized apple is like 10 to 30 calories. So you could eat like 6 apples in the same way of pears are a little more calorie dense, but what I'm getting at is that, if you get something fresh like that, you can eat so much more than you normally could because it's not this concentrated sugar thing.
So
it's
here's the thing. In a standard bag of gummy worms, 7.5 ounces, a serving size of calories is 90 calories per serving. Total carbs is 21 grams per serving. An apple has 25 grams of carbs per apple. So just eating your serving of gummy worms actually has less carbs in it than an apple does. So again, that's where the whole sugar content comes into play, not necessarily calories.
Except an apple, also being as it's a fruit, has a lot more.
It has fiber,
water and weight to it. Yeah. So the fiber helps counteract the carbs, and you're going to feel fuller eating a whole apple. Like, eat 2 gummy worms and then tell me you don't want more. Eat a whole apple and then tell me how you feel. Like, you're going to feel more full.
An apple has 95 calories. And again, the gummy worm per serving has 90.
For 2 gummy worms, though.
Yeah.
So how are you going to feel?
The apple has more calories than the gummy worms do.
Well, how many gummy worms would it take to equal 1 apple?
2. 2
gummy worms equals 1 apple in calories?
Yes.
So
it's actually less than, it's 5 calories less than an apple.
But the apple is going to keep you full longer than the 2 gummy worms are.
By a lot. Also, the apple's stuffed with fiber. Also, the sugar in a raw fruit is nowhere near the same kind of sugar as in any kind of candy, cookie, processed item.
But here's the thing. For a diabetic, both of those have to be off the menu because that's too much. I mean, unless you want to, unless you want to spend the rest of your life with an insulin injection, that the amount of sugar that's in an apple, the amount of sugar that's in a banana, that's enough to raise a diabetic's insulin levels to a point where they have to regulate their insulin with a shot.
Okay, I guess I wasn't coming at it specifically from a diabetic standpoint, because I feel like that's a totally different can of worms. I just meant kind of in general.
Yeah.
Also,
that's my issue. That's why I have to watch carbs and sugar.
Yeah.
And
I think
half cups of cereal.
Yes. Well, actually, in my case, it's 0 cups of cereal because it's. I am currently limited. I mean, try this as an experiment. Try it for 1 week. I dare any of you. Limit yourself to 100 carbs a day. I have to limit myself to 50 carbs a day.
Oof.
So what's the challenge? 100 carbs a day?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Already
And then-
See
doing
if you can. See if
However
you can do that
difficult
for a
that-
week.
Yeah, however difficult that is, double it.
I'm
Double
just
the
thinking of
difficulty.
like what I tend to eat.
Yeah.
Because I'm a big fan of fresh fruit and veggies.
I know,
Like
I
I'll take
am
a
too.
cucumber
I am
and
too.
slice it up in little chips and eat that instead of potato chips.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm a big fan of I love fresh fruit, but yeah, a lot of it's just off the table, off the menu right now for me. Until I go back in to get my A1C measured again.
I think Steve's dad is actually diabetic too, though.
I'm
I mean,
kinda
now
surprised
I'll
I'm not.
admit, I admit I'm kind of going to an extreme on it. It's more of a self experiment than what was directed by my doctor. But the results are, I mean, I've lost in 3 weeks 12 pounds. So
Now, isn't there a phenomenon where you can push your body too hard and lose too much weight too quickly?
well, sure, if you just completely stop eating.
Well, I meant that like, isn't there a range where you're supposed to lose X amount of weight in a given time frame, and if you're losing more than that, then it like causes. I don't remember the.
Yeah, I mean, there's unhealthy ways to do it for sure. But I mean, for me, I don't feel like what I'm doing is unhealthy per se. It's more. I'm concentrating more on like what I consider to be real food
Mhm,
and not processed foods.
mhm.
So the steaks, I'll eat steak. Not shrimp, because shrimp is high in carbs, but
Really?
yeah,
Huh.
but fish is good. Um, Chicken is good, and I mean, it all has carbs in it, but it's a low carb. Like, I mean, we're talking like 1 gram of carb per serving. I mean, it's insanely low. Celery is good. Broccoli
Steamed
is
broccoli.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
You just can't drown that shit in ranch dressing,
Oh, bleh, I don't.
which I'd love to do, but
Just
Wait,
put me in the
ranch
ground
dressing on
already.
steamed broccoli?
no, not on steam,
Oh.
just on raw broccoli.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, steamed broccoli, I'll eat that all day long. Throw in
Yeah,
a little bit of onion with it.
Steamed
good stuff.
broccoli with some black pepper on top, just steamed broccoli with just like a sprinkle
Absolutely.
of black pepper, and that's like, yeah.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
You lost me at broccoli in all its forms. And on that note, I'm going to go take a nap. Guys, have a great day. Seraphis, we'll talk. Actually, everyone, we'll talk later.
Heck yeah, go get some sleep.
Bye, broccoli
Okay.
man. Okay, now that the chatterbox is gone.
I'm trying to I'm stuck, so I'm trying to get unstuck.
ADKFA.
I'm trying to. You probably can't see it because it's really hard to see even on my big screen. But there's a ghost cactar, and I thought I was supposed to follow it, but it's not going anywhere. So that's why for a chunk of that I was just kind of standing in one spot or kind of going back and forth in that short little spot I was in, was because I'm trying to follow it because I thought I was supposed to, but it's not going anywhere. So I'm trying to figure out like, okay, what am I supposed to do with this dang ghost cactar?
You're meant to catch it.
Like run up to it
Yep.
and catch it?
Yep.
Okay. I can't I mean, I also can't quite tell where, like, if it's in front of me or behind me. Because I think I'm caught up to it, and then it passes in front of me, and then I come forward, and then it goes behind me. But I was basically in the exact same spot it was. And at the cactar stones, and the cactar spirit will guide you to Kamari's weapon. So I'm supposed to follow it?
Oh, you're doing... Okay, yep. Sorry.
I mean, like, if you know something I don't, definitely I will try, but see, it's just
No.
going in circles. Oh, I needed to hit the button that you hit to like pray at the cactar stones. So it did lead me to the right spot. It's just that was the spot.
Hmm.
That's what I did wrong. Okay. I've never gotten all the celestial weapons, so some of this is like genuinely new to me.
Yeah, well, as I was saying before the stream, I haven't played this in like 20 years.
Yeah, but that goes to show how memorable it is because you knew what I was talking about. You knew about the ghost cactar, even though you haven't played the game for 20 years. So that's really impressive.
Then again, I could also have been thinking of the king cacti that's in Final Fantasy VIII as well. So
Yeah, because they appear in isn't there a giant cactar somewhere in 10? I honestly don't remember.
probably, I think he's in the desert.
Desert? Yeah. Oh, hey, look, another jet sphere. I don't know that I want to do the jet spheres like off stream, but oh well. I didn't want to do all of this on stream either because it'd be really boring.
I'm trying to remember if there's a King Tomberry as well in Final Fantasy X.
Oh, I forgot about them. Where are they in 10 again? I haven't.
I'm trying to remember if there is one.
No, there is. I remember
Okay.
that, but I just don't remember where. I think it's in the Cavern of the Stolen Faith now.
We've lost you, haven't we, Game Masters?
No.
So I taught my in-laws to play DC-20 yesterday.
How'd it go?
Actually, extraordinarily well. I learned things I didn't know. Like, for example, Steve's dad used to work in a hobby shop, like in the 70s and 80s. You know, like when the original books and stuff were. I was like, holy crap, that's really cool. I didn't know that. And then his mom took to it like a duck to water. Maybe took to it a little too well. It was funny. So what I did was I took DC-20 and I kind of pared it down to make it more simple for them because I didn't know their experience level. And I printed some a dwarf, an elf, and a human, and I printed out some cards, and then I made a wizard, a rogue, and a warrior, and I printed out some cards, and on the wizard, rogue, and warrior cards, I put HP, PD, and then the might, agility, intelligence, and charisma. Like I just kind of used the standard array and just put, warrior had high might, rogue had a high agility, wizard had high intelligence, that kind of thing. And so we didn't spend a lot of time. Like I was just trying to get them into the game and because they haven't really played TTRPGs like that. Sort of. They kind of had, but not like to the level of D&D, but they've played other like board games. And so, I was like, okay, you start in a tavern and you're waiting for your food, blah, blah, blah. And his mom just immediately jumped into it. She was using a voice. She was like interacting with the NPCs. Like she was talking right at me, like in character. That's what I was looking for, in character. And she even changed her mode of speech a little bit. It was wild. She got really, really into it. And his dad, it like took him a little bit. His dad didn't say a lot, didn't role play a lot or necessarily, but he was very in the world. It's like, I want to look at this. I want to investigate this. Can I go check out these crates? I want to go do this. I want to cast and he played a wizard and he was really excited to cast fireballs. I cast fireball. And then we got to combat. And I wanted to like introduce them to the concept of combat really slowly. And his mom, like they went into a cavern that was through a hole in the basement. And they like went through and she just like walked, like just marched all the way out into the cavern. And I'm like, okay, as you march out, you hear this squealing sound and you turn around and you had walked past a bunch of goblins. and we were using owlbear, and it was on the table in front of them so they could see it. And she's like, I kill it. I go and I kill it with my dagger. I'm like, okay, hold on. We're gonna take turns now. Everybody gets a turn. And she just like is it my turn? I'm gonna kill it with daggers. Like, she was so excited. It was a lot of fun though. They actually want to come back and play again.
Insanity ensures.
Insanity. Well, the little quest that I wrote was they're in a tavern and like, they're waiting for their food and they've been waiting too long for their food. And then there's like the NPCs, like a waitress or something, server, and they're like, where's our food? And the waitress would be like, oh, our cook has gone missing. Like, that was kind of the start of the whole thing. And I expected, and the waitress is supposed to tell them that the owner's offering a reward of 50 gold for the missing cook. But what ended up actually happening was she said, oh, our cook's gone missing. And his mom immediately looked at Steve, and Steve was playing the warrior whom he named Malcolm. And she looked right over and she goes, well, Malcolm can cook. And his dad was playing a wizard named Tim. And she'll, Tim, you can cook. You go in there and you go cook. Like, rather than getting to the point of, hey, there's a reward, go find the cook. Her brain went to like, okay, one of you two, go be the cook. I want food. Go feed us. So then we had this entire bit where Steve's character is like, okay. And he actually went into the kitchen and rolled. And that's how we introduced skill checks to him, because Steve was looking around the kitchen and, yeah, it was really funny. Like, it just immediately off the rails. But that's how, like I said, she took to it like a duck to water. She just like, it was immediately playing and into it. And it was a lot of fun. Cricket chirp. Cricket chirp. Cricket chirp.
He's trying to do the frozen face.
You both kind of were, weren't you?
Yeah, but see, his problem is he's got that simulated background that just keeps on flickering. So
I can hold still longer than you. Oh, so I was trying to get you to talk, damn it.
I think I saw a blink actually, because I was sitting there like, okay, how could I tell if it's the frozen face or not? And I think I saw a blink through the glasses.
Yeah, I try to position the glare on my eyes.
Monster capture.
You've got to work out a system of blinks.
Just start closing my eyes.
The cricket chirp, if you had tried. I mean, not everyone is I'm fortunate and okay, didn't know that was there. I'm fortunate that they already like games, table games, board games, card games. So that I think is what made me think like they could really enjoy this. In fact, I'm now planning on making the next video about it.
Everything is content.
I mean, when you do videos, yeah, it is. Yeah. Especially when you're like me and you're completely dry on ideas.
Well, I've started doing a new series on my channel.
Have you? I was hoping you'd bring this up.
I've got a couple of them. Which one are you referring to?
Let's see. Your Artificer one, and then your one that was it today that you released?
Well, you see it early, but it will actually drop next week for everybody else.
Okay, well then I won't spoil that surprise then.
No, yeah, that's fine. We can talk about them. I don't care. That's fine. But no, I'm having fun with that. I mean, it's just, it's shit that's happened at my table or shit that I've read, from other people that have happened at their table. And yeah. So I went
I
to
love
Walmart yesterday and I'm like, how can I make it so that each one of these characters is distinctly different? I know I'll wear different shirts for each one. And so the artificer, I will always wear this, with and we'll always have the hoodie. So that's the artificer. The warrior will wear a Freddy Krueger shirt. The cleric is always going to wear some kind of a superhero shirt. So like Spider-Man, Superman, Batman, some kind of superhero shirt. And the rogue has one it's a black shirt with pink Barbie written across it. So those are going to be my set characters.
I saw the artificer one and it was so great that I actually sent it to my whole group. I was like, you guys have to see this. Because that whole thing, like, there's technically calcium and it's like, oh God, it sounds like Steve. Oh no. This is exactly what not quite to the same taken to the 9th level. Steve tones it down a little bit, but that same approach and mentality is very much what playing with him is like.
Well, I can guarantee you that in the next one that I do, not the one that comes out Friday because it's already posted, but in the next one, there's definitely going to be gummy worms involved.
I still need to finish the Avenger one. I had that on my watch list, and as Guru said, I'm really terrible about watching other people's videos now. I don't know why. I should be better, but I keep missing them. I need to catch them.
I really don't understand the Avenger one. It has seen 40,000, almost 41,000 views.
Is that like a lot or very little?
That's a lot
for each one.
For me.
Oh.
For me, yeah, that's a lot.
Well, we all know that any video that is actually D&D like brand or brand material is going to perform better than videos on other systems. So that's just kind of a known thing.
Maybe, but I mean, I did another one that was about Zargon. Maybe it's a lesser known entity, but it's only seen by comparison 1,400 views. So it's like, I just don't understand this thing.
The other thing I would think is that because Venger is actually in the artwork for the DMG, isn't he?
Yeah.
So a bunch of people who have no clue about that show are like Googling it. And whenever you get something that a lot of people are looking up, it's the self-eating, it feeds itself. So then it's popping up on people's, it feeds the algorithm's showing it more people are clicking on it. That's making the view count go up. That's making the activity go up. That's feeding the algorithm, is causing it to show it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It rolls downhill. That would be my theory. It's just a theory.
Could be.
Oh, hey, Game Masters.
Did
you know my last couple of videos suddenly got dislikes?
Dislikes?
And comments too.
Is it like that cranky person? I'm like asking because I don't know, because I haven't caught the Fallout one yet. I don't think. Although I went back and watched the Elder Scrolls one again because why not?
Well, I mean, I've watched all of them. I don't. Of course, I can't see. I can't see what dislikes you got.
They don't show that to anyone. Yeah.
Yeah, they kind of took that away.
But yes, it was cranky person who.
Oh,
It's just like, yes,
that
yes.
They
one.
basically went through and just mass disliked and angry commented on a whole bunch of older videos.
Yeah.
Like they just went through all of the video. What that makes little sense to
I
me. Like, okay, let's say I find a person on YouTube that I'm not a fan of. They say something in one of their videos and I'm like, "No, I'm done here," which has happened. I just unsub, and then when the next video of theirs pop up on my, main page, I say,
blocked.
"Don't
Yeah,
show me anymore from this channel," and then I just don't watch their video. Like, why
yeah,
in the world, if you had a creator that you didn't like, would you then go back and watch their older videos?
yeah,
Like,
yeah. So
hate
what
watching.
that
Like,
whole
what?
situation was? This guy jumped into my Discord, right? And I don't know, started spouting off something, and Seraphis made a few comments, and the guy just kept getting, more belligerent, and finally Seraphis just more, I mean, doesn't exactly tail him off, just says, well, I understand you're new around here, and this is how I see it. And the guy just at that point started to physically threaten him, like, well, why don't you come to my bar here in Texas, and I'll show you how much of a noob I am. And I'm like, no, this I gave him a warning, he ignored it. I gave him a second warning. He didn't like it, so I kicked him out.
Yeah,
And
you gotta.
yeah, and so then he starts hitting up my channel and gave like 15 of my videos, 15, no, it was 23 of my videos thumbs down, and just started leaving negative comments like, oh, if you disagree with this guy, he'll kick you, and stuff like that. And in the meantime, I'm just laughing like a little schoolgirl because he opened up 23 different or 22 different of my videos and had to watch at least the ads in them in order to leave a comment. And I'm
And
like,
or like the
oh,
click-through rate, and or
yeah,
there's so many metrics
yeah,
that YouTube
yeah,
uses, too many metrics that YouTube uses.
yeah,
Oh, and then you just fed all of them.
yeah. And then
Like,
of course on two or three of those videos, I interacted with him. I made a comment, and of course he commented right back, and I'm like, you're so stupid. You're just stupid. You're playing right into what I need.
yeah. It's because the number, because YouTube just cares about the number of comments that you get. It doesn't
Right.
care if they're
Not
positive or
necessarily the
negative.
content. Right, right,
So if he comments and you comment and he comments again, YouTube
right,
is like yum 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 yum. So he
right,
is just
right.
feeding your channel there, and even from a personal expense. Oh my god, words. Sometimes words, but even as like I'm just trying to picture like what kind of mind you would have to, again, there was a YouTuber that I followed, a D&D YouTuber, and I had subbed and I watched like every single video and loved it and thought it was the greatest thing on the planet. But in one video, he said something that I'm like, okay, wow, no, I'm drawing the line here, just for me personally, and it was something that was
Yeah,
not D&D related. He had he in the he was like a side comment. He didn't It wasn't the subject of the video or anything, but he happened to say it in a video. But it was more of like a political, like, strong viewpoint type thing, and I was like, I happen to disagree with that. So all I did was just unsub and not continue to watch newer videos. Like, no, if this is the way this person feels, I happen to disagree.
right.
And not that you have to say something pretty crazy for me to, like, Bear and Seraphis have said things that I don't necessarily agree with. I still watch them. I still interact with their channel. Like, you have to say something pretty okay, whoa, for me to
Yeah,
actually unsub and not watch your videos anymore.
right.
I don't want to make it sound like I'm really singularly minded. But I didn't go back to his older videos and go make negative, like, I don't like your content, so I'm just gonna not watch it and not have you in my feed. Like,
I
what
mean,
in the
it really
world?
is that simple. Yeah.
It like what is this like the abusive relationship? Is this like the you rail and tell me you don't want me, but you keep coming back to my house? Like,
Yeah.
what kind of
Yeah.
it's that
So anyway,
uh,
I just when that happened, I couldn't help but laugh. I mean, I found it
yeah,
so funny. I'm like,
uh,
really?
that is funny. That is actually funny. I thankfully my community is generally very, very, very positive. just in general. I have a lot of really supportive,
too. I
nice
mean,
people.
yeah.
I
One
just bring out the worst in people.
I had one stream. It was in the Subnautica Below Zero stream, so it was a while ago. And you know, there's more people that watch the videos and than there are people that watch the streams, and there's certainly more of them than people who actually participate in the stream. So the people who are stream regulars are just the nicest people. But there's one time where I started a stream and someone popped in the chat and they're like, bruh, read your chat, bruh. What's wrong with you, bro? Stop talking, bro. Like they were just spamming chat with like just this nonsense, and I wasn't. Sometimes people will say things in chat that I'm like, I don't necessarily agree with that, or okay, maybe don't be posting that in my chat right now. Like some of the comments get a little bit like that's not what my community is about,
Yeah.
and usually what I do is just don't verbally acknowledge it. Like I just read it and I kind of just okay, and then I continue playing the game, talking about the game, commenting on the game because the chat will fill back up. You know, other people will see it or a conversation will start that I don't necessarily need to partake in and they can talk amongst themselves. Like I don't really feel the need to like ban people, but but this guy was being like ridiculous. So finally I just reached over and I'm like, ban this person. Like sometimes you try to be open, you try not to ban people for simply disagreeing with you. You want to encourage conversation. You don't want to be you know, you want to be open to new ideas. You want to let people say things even if that might not be how you think, but then there's those people and you're like, okay, just get out of my chat.
Yeah.
I love that Seraphis remembers that.
Oh
it
yeah,
was so stupid.
Yeah. Oh my god, he was such a cunt.
He was. He's like, quit talking, play the game. And it's like what I was talking about was it like a story recap of the game. It's which I do a lot. Like if you don't like my side tangents, then my gameplay videos are probably not for you.
Which
Well, I
was
mean,
even funnier. Oh, yep.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, which is even funnier because you just started the stream.
Yes, it was an introduction story recap. I had just started. Yeah.
Yeah, and what I was going to say is, I mean, when I have the opportunity to watch, that's what attracts me to it is the banter that I mean, and I've mentioned this before is when you're playing it, you're talking to the NPC, like you are actually talking to the NPCs.
Oh yes, yeah.
You as T and Tori are not necessarily as the character you're playing as, and I don't know, it to me that's more entertaining than just sitting there watching somebody play and not saying anything.
I will say, Grim, and my favorite part of your streaming, Tori, is the sir, excuse me, sir, stuff. Grim thinks it is the funniest fucking thing. Especially during the Subnautica stuff when you're saying it to the fishes. That that would kill her every time.
Oh, good. I'm glad she enjoys that because I want to be of good quality, right? I've seen streamers who are like, "Oh, I can make money being a streamer. I'm just going to play video games for a camera." And no, there's more to it than that. I think that I do want to have some degree of self-respect when it comes to my content, but at the same time I want to be me. I'm not sacrificing authenticity to feed an algorithm. I'm not doing the most algorithmically appropriate thing.
And by doing that, I mean, you will feed the algorithm by being you, because I mean, that's what brings people to the channel. Because I mean, how many streamers out there are simply just playing a video game and not interacting with anybody? I can't stand
but a
them.
lot of them, you watch some of the big ones. Like I like Insim, right? He's fun, but he can't really interact with chat a whole lot because if you watch his streams, his chat is like new chat, new chat, new chat, new chat. I mean, it's a stream of just text flying up the side of the screen. You can't even read half of it.
Yeah.
I'm actually happy I don't have that problem.
I'm gonna put that one up. I like that.
Ah,
Yep.
that's interesting. That's okay.
I'd agree with that.
Thinking of the Final Fantasy X stuff where I will stop every so often and recap, but recap with, and remember this and this and that. And you got to think where they're coming from. I like to do little like mini analysis of the characters and their motivations and the significance. Because I think that's one of the things that makes this game great is its characters and story and world building.
Oh my god, I really want you to hurry up because there's a part I so want to talk about.
Okay.
But Grumpy's in chat, so I won't do spoilers.
Won't spoil. I love that Grumpy gets to I love that somebody hasn't seen the game before and they're learning about this game for the first time.
But just know, after you finish Final Fantasy X, we're probably going to dedicate a Talking Drek just to talking about like some of the big moments in that game.
Oh, yes.
Because like I'm going to keep this as vague as possible, but like Yevon and Yunalesca. That's what I'm saying on that.
Now I'm confused. Now I'm sitting here like, what? I'm actually kind of, I almost did it again. I really need to go to a merchant. I need to find a merchant.
Oh, have you forgotten who Yu Yevon is?
No, I mean, I think I know. That's the thing is some of your comments have made me second guess if I know what I do. Also, remember what I mentioned earlier about how every year I started, but I never get past like Luca. So I haven't seen the end of the game for like 7 years. So I like remember, but I don't exactly remember. And also I watched a video on it that taught me some things that I didn't know. Like apparently there's like a book and a play and there's like an entire world of extra content that was made after 10.2, and it's like the plot synopsis is like the dumbest stuff I've ever heard. I accidentally went backwards. Like for example, there's like a play or something that was written, like a show, like a Broadway show, but it was in Japan that was like performed. Or I think it was either a play or it was a book, one of the two. But there's like this extra content where like Titus comes back or something, and Yuna and him are together, and then they break up, and then they're together again, and then they break up again, and then Yuna ends up with somebody else. And it's like the whole thing is kind of like, wait, what? Like it's wild. The content doesn't make sense. It seems like it breaks character. I don't really consider that canon, and I think a lot of members of the community don't consider it. Heck, there's members of the community that considers 10.2 non-canon. I find that one a little bit more difficult to ignore. Plus, if you look at it in the right way, 10.2 actually makes a lot of sense. I don't think it deserves nearly the hate that it got, but 10.2 is at least defensible to a degree, and this other stuff was like, no. So, and that's what makes me nervous about 3. The potential for 3.
Without giving spoilers, shit, what was his name? Is it Shinra? Shinra.
The kid?
Yeah, in 10.2.
In 10.2, yeah.
Yeah. I still subscribe to the idea that he's the one that
goes on to be Shinra in 7?
No. That he's the basis of the dream that is Titus. Hence why they look the same. Other aspects, yeah.
The kid? Like the kid on the ship that does the mechanics, like the whiz kid.
No.
Or you mean the character?
The antagonist of X2.
Oh, yeah. Okay. his name is something else, isn't it? Though, but the one that looks like Titus.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, 100%. I'm with you there. Shinra is the kid on the ship that like is the tech wizard whiz kid that Yuna and the girls talk to. That's why I was confused. I was like, what? Okay, I think I'm going the right way this time. I hope I'm going the right way this time. This place, I genuinely get turned around in this place.
I only partly played it once, and I had my friend take over to finish it for me, so
it's the thing that gets me is I don't like the combat system.
Yes.
And like I don't mind the story and the tone and all of that. I know a lot of people don't like the tone because the tone's wildly different, but that's okay.
I fucking love the Celsius.
It's I don't know how to feel about it. I like the airship in this one better. I don't like the design of it. I have a hard time with it. I don't hate it, but I have a hard time with it. I don't love it either.
It appeals to me because it's so fucking rock and roll. Even though they are so K-pop, the airship is so rock and roll, and I'm just like, oh, you had like Bubblegum Crisis girls piloting that thing, it would fucking rock 6 Ways to Sunday, but you've got fucking K-pop.
It is extremely rock and roll. I can see that now that you say that.
I do highly recommend you look up Bubblegum Crisis to understand what I mean there, especially Pris and her moto slave. That will fully explain what I'm talking about.
I may have to, although I feel like I've heard that before somewhere, but I'd have to look it up. Thanks, Kat. I love you too, Kat. She's being so obnoxious today.
Hold on. Grumpy, I am right there with you. There are several anime that I have that are like dedicated to like a space war story thing, and for some reason there's inexplicably some kind of licensed content for it that's just now they're all characters in a high school. Fucking what? I will. If we were allowed to have guns, I would be eating a gun right now. Fucking hell. Yeah, fucking absolutely. Mega Tokyo 2033. Oh, 2032, 2033. Yes, I'm glad 2040 got a whole series, but still, I like the original story better. And the original characters. Anyway, now that I distracted everything.
Let's say I'm not a big anime person, but you know, I can appreciate people who appreciate something. I wish I knew why the cat was being so ridiculous. Like, what is your problem, kitten? What's the issue?
No. Are either of you two familiar with Robotech?
Vaguely.
With what?
Robotech.
I mean, I know the role-playing game, yeah.
I was gonna say I think I've heard the word once or twice. That's about it.
Yes. If it was from me, it was probably in a negative connotation, followed by something like, fuck those cunts. But yeah. I was going to bring up something, but
I think gaming with ADHD has been big into it in the past.
Yeah, he knows a lot about it. We've chatted on the subject before. So when he's not like been up for 23 hours, I would have a discussion with him about it.
To which, my goodness, get some sleep. Poor guy. Is it like, was it work or did he just have so much stuff to do or?
No, just work.
Oh, that's nuts.
Mm.
Oh, I thought that would kill it. It didn't. Okay. Waka just throwing a blitz ball at it, just smack.
Can't quite remember if I had other topics in mind. Then again, I didn't think this would go on for so long. About diets and shit.
I mean, it's a big part of like we're all on a diet of some kind, right? In our own way. The big thing I'm really sleepy because of course we were up kind of late and I spent so long yesterday preparing for them to come over, not just in terms of like the game and getting all the cards printed and cut and this and that and the other thing, but like also like making the dough and all of the cleaning the house and all of that stuff too. So it was a lot. I was up for a long time doing that.
That's right. I'd made a couple of new captions to scroll down the bottom that were the other topics, or one of the other topics I wanted to bring back up, but that's okay.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, it's just going to be some more talking about the new edition of D&D.
Oh, which I find myself not really like. The more into DC-20 I get, the more detached from D&D. It's like window shopping. It's like looking at it through a glass. Like you're at a zoo and you're just looking at it through a glass window and you're like, oh yeah, and over here we have the 2024 edition and right there you'll see the artwork in the monster manual. Anyways, moving to the next terrarium. Like that's what it kind of feels like. Just because I don't play it.
This is where we're lucky because someone keeps getting it for free so he can tell us all about it.
It looked like the new monster manual was really good though.
In a nutshell, the Dungeon Master's Guide Player's Handbook, those were knocked out of the park. If you're a new player, have never played the game before, they are absolutely perfect in every way on how to get into the game. The monster manual, it's chock full of monsters, but short of that, it failed miserably for what it is. There are other books out there for other systems that pull off a bestiary guide much more effectively. There's nothing in it that really specifies if you want to create a character or a monster from scratch, this is how you do it. Yes, there is a section that explains every little element of the stat block of a monster stat block, but it doesn't explain to you like, well, how do you create a CR 15 monster, for example? What is a good balance of stats for that CR 15? What abilities make sense to give it? It doesn't explain anything like that.
So, okay. So you're saying that because there's nothing in there to explain how to create your own monster, it fails at what it needs to do?
Yeah. I mean, it provides you a bunch of monsters to choose from, but
which I would argue is the point.
Well, no, because the whole point of the first two books is to create your own world. And it even goes into explaining, if you want to create a whole new subclass that's not listed in the player's handbook, it explains to you step by step how to do that. If you want to create an adventure in the Dungeon Master's Guide, it tells you literally step by step how to create an adventure, how to create a campaign, how to create an entire world for that matter. And following that formula, it started out like that in the first two books. Each one of those had its own formula on how to create something from scratch. You go to the third book and that formula is no longer there. It's just, here's a bunch of monsters.
So basically, the first 2 books were following along a line, and then the Monster Manual didn't follow along that same line.
Right. Pretty much. Pretty much.
See, I feel like there would have to be a sort of percentage threshold, if you will, a threshold at which I would call a book a failure at its core point. I would argue that the point of the Monster Manual is to have a whole bunch of different monsters to choose from in it. And I would consider the information or the setup to create your own as being extra or nice or neat to have, but not central to the core of the quote point unquote of the book, if you will. At least that's my personal feeling on it. So I don't know that I would have considered it a failure at its own point, like that it like if you're thinking success fail ratio, I think it succeeded at what it set out to do with a missing component. But of course I don't have it, so I'm just going off
I mean,
of what I've
it
heard.
definitely has that missing component, and I think that's what my counterpoint would be is, the first 2 books do an excellent job at explaining what the DM can do to create their own stuff. The player's handbook does a great job at explaining to the player what options are available if you want to go outside of the boundaries of what's found in that book. It even goes so far as to explain step by step how to create magic items from scratch. It explains to the players step by step how to go about crafting items, how to go about crafting magic items step by step if they don't exist in the books. And like I said, I mean, that's a formula that they set up from book 1, continued it to book 2. And by the time we got to book 3, that step by step on creating, it's just not there. So it leaves the question, well, how? How do I determine, okay, so let's say I want to create a new subtype of vampire. Say an energy vampire. We'll just say that. I want to create an energy vampire. Well, how do I determine what its stats are? Do I traditionally roll, like a 46, drop the 1, and that's what their stats are? Or do I take, an NPC and use its stats and just say, well, it was converted. Okay, great. We'll use its stats. It's converted. What's its CR? How do I determine that? What is its what abilities does it have? How do I determine what the abilities are? Okay, if it's all now psionic based, well, what does that do to the CR rating of it? Does that increase it? Does it decrease it? And there's too many questions there that there's no basis for it. The TOV bestiary, Seraphis, it goes into great detail about how to create monster from scratch, doesn't it?
It's either no, it's in the Game Master's Guide.
It's in the Game Master's Guide. Okay. Yep. Okay.
Which I could see that I could see it making sense that something like that would be because you'd be worried about it if you were a game master, right?
Yeah.
But there's also new templates for different types of monsters. Like, say, for example, if
that's it.
Skeletons
weren't
in the weren't in the the Game Master's Guide, they would be in the Monster Vault.
Right.
Likewise, there's going to be a bunch new ones coming out with Monster Vault 2.
And that's the other thing that it's lacking is, I mean, at least give us a template. Let's say,
so great.
Yeah, I mean, let's say I go with the basic one. I want to create, there's a zombie outbreak in a town, and the town was a population of, say, 250 villagers. They all got turned to zombies. Well, how do I do that? Well, they're all going to be the exact same zombie that's found in the monster manual, because there's no variation of humanoid zombie. There's no template that I can work off of. I mean, I have enough skills to change a few things, but
or all the cows of the community
Right.
as well,
right,
the livestock. Like,
right,
yeah,
right. I mean, it just doesn't explain any of that. And
Mm.
I mean, an experienced player or experienced DM can figure that stuff out. I'm looking at this from the perspective of I've never played the game before. I'm picking these books up for the first time because everybody's playing it and I want to check it out.
Mm.
That information is just not readily available. That's why I say at its core it failed.
but then again, it creates that mindset of, oh, it's not in this book, so I'll have to get the next one that will have monsters in it, so I can potentially have
Yeah.
that stuff that I want. It creates that reliance in that regard.
Right. Or it just creates the mindset of, well, it's not here, so I guess I can't do it.
I was going to say, yeah, if you're going from the perspective of someone who's brand new, never picked this up before, I don't
Yeah.
think they're going to be thinking all those things that you mentioned as far as creating stuff or templating stuff or
I don't know. I mean,
they're
because again, it's in the Dungeon
oh, but the
Master's
first
Guide.
2 books.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying is they establish that. They establish the
Hmm.
possibility of being able to create things that don't exist. But when it comes to the monster manual, that element's just not there. So
So it
now,
probably wouldn't be so bad if the first 2 books didn't emphasize that or do
yeah,
okay.
I mean, maybe.
Yeah, gear in that direction.
So anyway, that's my view of the 3 core books in a nutshell.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I'm working with a beta of a not finished system, so I guess and there are plenty of criticisms for 5e's books.
Grumpy says, to be fair, this kind of info was also lacking in 1A. And 100% because the 1E, the very first edition of Dungeons and Dragons, you see this right here? This is the character sheet. It didn't even exist. There was no character sheet for the first edition of the game. So, I mean, this is something that I think was released in a Dragon magazine that has made its rounds, over the years. But yeah, I mean, even the first edition was somewhat lacking in that respect.
True, but I kind of see what you're saying there in terms of consistency. Like
Yeah.
if you set up that this is the direction we're going, this is what we're angling at, and then you don't follow through with that in the 3rd book, that's not as good.
No.
I mean, I'm a reskinner by default, so I don't create custom monsters and I don't template and I don't really do that to the guy. I take a stat block and I say, okay, and now instead of a skeleton, this is a goblin. Done. Like, because
Yeah,
DC 20,
and
I don't have a goblin stat block, so I just took the skeleton stat block and went, okay, now there's this tiny creature of green, then that's what they're fighting.
yeah, and to be fair, I mean, it does specify to do that, to take a Tarask and reskin it to be Godzilla, if that's what you want to do. I mean, it does say that, but again, I want to create my own stuff, not just reskin it and say, oh, I created something new. Well,
I like doing that because it's way less work and I'm lazy. Because I when I create my own stuff, the numbers and the stat block isn't the important part. The interaction with the players, how it looks and sounds and feels, the narration, and how it comes to life. That's where I get the output, the feeling of creativity in there. So I just use the existing stat blocks because it's easier and takes pretty much 0 time. And then I'm able to, to do the creative part elsewhere, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Anyway, I agree with Grumpy.
Yeah.
And then there's me over here in Cypher. Let's see. I'm going to create a
Right.
difficulty 3 monster. What's its attack? 3. How many special abilities will it have? 3. How many loot will it drop? 3. Is it going to be special? No, it's below 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cypher system was the first system I looked at potentially leaving D&D for, and then that's when DC-20 launched. And the players that I have are much more enamored with that because it's so easy for them to move from 5e to DC-20 because there's so much there that is in the DNA. And they absolutely love the 4AP combat, which granted was in Pathfinder too, but they would not like Pathfinder. They're not those kinds of players.
If you could get a 3.5 or Pathfinder 1E or 2E group who's being DM'd by someone who is perfectly okay with just fucking making calls on the fly and just having the game move along and not having a table full of spicy brains. Sweet Jesus, that would be a fun game.
Well, I'm wondering when WotC is going to finally get around to releasing the SRD and putting the for the older stuff and putting that stuff into Creative Commons like they said they were going to do. I know that they're working on 5.5, getting that pushed out, and they have told us that that will happen. But it makes me wonder that once it does happen, I wonder how many people are going to flock to that as I dare say, superior system.
I think they just said it and they're not going to do it.
I don't know. I mean, possibly.
They'd be shooting themselves in the foot pretty bad if they did that.
Well, I mean, we've got. I would have to agree with you, Tori. I do think that they would be shooting themselves in the foot because
more than they already have.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they'll find that a lot of people will flock to it and produce content for it, and then it's like, well, shit. Now are we under pressure to produce a new 2E book?
Which I was going back over the player handbooks for AD&D 1E and 2E, right?
Mm-hmm.
I found something I hadn't realized before, and it absolutely annoyed the crap out of me, which was second edition removed level titles for character classes. Do you remember them?
Vaguely.
So if you look at the AD&D 1E Player's Handbook, you look at like a cleric, and on the right side of like the leveling table, it will say about how, at first level you're like an acolyte or something, and then like at second level you're now like an acolyte second level, and at third level you're a priest.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Second edition got rid of all of that. And I'm like, I fucking love the fact that like you had your class, but you had a title in your class. Like it felt like you were actually moving up the ranks in something.
Yeah, I have no idea where my player's handbook is. I've got my Dungeon Master's Guide and I've got my Monster Manual, but I don't know what the hell happened to my player's handbook. I need to clean this room up in such a bad way. I've got shit everywhere.
But yeah, it annoyed me that I came across that because oh no, it was your video on the vampire lair, the vampire queen.
Yeah.
Doing the character sheet. And I was like, I accidentally clicked on the wrong edition one instead of the 1E1. I was like, looking at the second edition book, and I was just like, where's the titles? I was like, oh, wait, I'm on the wrong edition. Wait, hold on. The mechanics are basically the same. They got rid of the titles? Yep. It annoyed me. Because that was one of the things I liked about that, because it, as I said, it felt like leveling up wasn't just a bunch of stats, like a bunch of new things. It was like, you know, you've gone from, oh, I'm, you know.
You went from working in the mailroom to becoming an executive assistant to becoming a director to becoming an executive director. Yeah, you saw progression.
Yeah. The way I was going to explain it is, you know, you're not just a soldier in the army. You're now a sergeant in the army. You're now, you know,
general.
Warrant officer. That's the one I was thinking.
Yeah.
Warrant officer. You're like, you know, captain. Yeah, etc., etc.
Yeah.
It felt like a progression that stats don't give you that same kind of feeling of.
Right.
Like, okay, I'm getting stronger. Cool. No, I'm now a sergeant. You know, I've got a level of respect to me now, you know?
Oh.
Yeah, I miss titles.
That makes sense. That sounds like it would be a fun thing to have. I mean, the whole time I've played D&D, there hasn't been titles, so I'm not, like, attached to it, but it sounds like a neat idea. Like, I could really picture that being good.
Yeah, and Tori, do you know what else has titles? Or rather, do you know what else used to have titles?
No?
The Elder Scrolls.
Oh, yeah. In the
When
guilds.
When you're in the guilds, you had a title. Yeah. Oh, I'm only a apprentice in the Mages Guild. You know, go up, go up, go up. Oh, now
Didn't they have that all the way up to Oblivion?
They had it in Oblivion too, yeah.
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 I remember that in Oblivion. Even though I started there, I don't think I missed it. Even when Skyrim came out, I didn't even notice it was gone. So.
Oh, I did. Because of just how lacking it was. Because it felt like I started the College of Winterhold quest line, and now I was the Archmage, and I'm like, wait, so and a new recruit just became the Archmage. What the fuck? Shouldn't I become an instructor at some point? Yeah, that's what did it for me.
It took me a while to get to noticing the issues with Skyrim. So for many, many, many hours of the gameplay, I was just completely enamored and completely sucked in, and oh, this is the greatest and this is the best, and I totally enjoyed it, and I still love it to this day. I mean, heck, it's on my channel. I absolutely adore Skyrim, but after a while, I did start seeing the cracks. And I wonder if that's a little bit on purpose, because when you think about it, I think that the expectation, at least if you go back to 2011 when it released, is you just want players, you want to sell a bazillion copies, you want players to play the game, and then eventually the players are going to stop playing the game and then they move on. So part of me thinks that, like, if everybody enjoyed their initial experience with it before they started seeing the cracks, people like me, right, that genuinely loved it and then started noticing, like, isn't that okay? Like, so what if there's cracks? I greatly enjoyed my first run through of it. Now I play other games that are not that game. You know what I mean? Like, is that so terrible?
No, I
just
don't think
thinking out
it's
loud.
terrible at all. So I was just looking through this one. This is one of the original, monster manuals. Came out in 1977. And it also doesn't go into how to create your own monster. And I think that's my secondary complaint is for 40 something years, if you've played this one and you went through the different editions, I mean, we're 40 years into the game now, or 50 years into the game now, and you'd think that in 50 years, the players, we've been vocal about wanting to have the ability to easily create something. 50 years later, we still don't have that. So it's like, that is enough to push that has been enough to push folks to other systems because they feel like they can do it better. That's why games like the Cypher system exist, DC-20 exists, Pathfinder exists, because there's things that have been lacking that other people have felt that they can do better.
Or, they already did do it for D&D, and then D&D changed, and they were like, no, and then left.
Mm-hmm.
Not naming any companies here. Who may or may not have been founded by people who created the D20 system in the first place.
Yeah.
But that's why we have that's why competition in the marketplace is a good thing in this case. Like, you get these
absolutely.
creatives that are able to build something successful and grow and become a business. And, it's one of those where, if WotC keeps putting out an inferior product, it's, not going to sell.
Right.
And or the reverse side of that is the product really inferior, or is there just a certain subsect that doesn't like it? And if you get a percentage of your customer base that doesn't like the new edition and they leave to go find other stuff, if everybody else loves it and keeps buying it, then you succeed as a business. And why worry about the 3% when the other 97 are still enjoying the game, playing the game? I'm kind of a little bit of two minds about it, but it's like, I mean, I don't want to encourage WotC to put out inferior products, but at the same time, I also understand that if they make something that I don't like and I left and I'm not buying the new books, so that's one customer they lost. But if a large enough percentage of people do like it and are buying it and are enjoying the game and are enjoying the hobby, then who cares if they lost me as a customer?
Right. Right.
I'm one drop in the bucket, and clearly there is something that people do like, or a large enough swath of them wouldn't be buying it. Sorry. Or they're all losing money, nobody is buying it. You see what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, all their entire base is just sheeples who just move from trend to trend, and when the D&D trend pops, they're going to move on, and there's not going to be many.
I think left. There is a big element of that. I think a lot of people are on the D&D thing right now because it is trending. I think you'd be foolish to not see that. And I mean, and that's directly attributed to things like Stranger Things, or Critical Role. That has certainly gotten a lot of people into it because it is a trend.
Are we on the downturn of that trend though? Aren't we at a point where it's
Yeah, I
actually
think
not
so.
trending anymore?
I think so.
Yeah.
It's certainly not as big as it was, say, 6 years ago, 5 years
Yeah.
ago.
I feel
But
like. Oh, no, you go.
I was gonna say, so what if they're all sheeple? It doesn't affect me. I go play the system I want to play. I bought DC-20. I left. I don't need to care
Yeah.
about their opinion or WotC that much. A little bit, enough to watch, enough to see what's going on, enough to see what trends do, enough to see what companies do. But there's been third-party content ever since Dragon Magazine existed to an extent, and I think there always will be. So even though WotC has a big impact on the industry as a whole, it's not the entirety of the industry. And if a whole bunch of sheeple, if they are sheeple, then let them be sheeple. If they're happy, then they're happy sheeple. I'll do my thing and you do your thing. And I don't need to fret about it, I guess is
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
I mean, for me, I've been playing since the early to mid 1980s. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, why I'm interested in other systems for sure, but my default's always going to be D&D. Maybe not necessarily 5th edition or 5.5, but I do enjoy playing the 2nd edition AD&D.
So you're going to keep doing 2nd edition and find other people that like playing 2nd edition.
Yeah.
Well, 1st and 2nd edition also has the advantage that the systems was just a revision of the other. So there's a lot of backwards compatibility you can have with that as well. So that was also a good thing.
Yeah, and I mean, 3rd edition is good too. I mean, there's a lot. That's the nice thing about 3rd edition is when it came out, and I really can't remember. There was nothing trending about it really, other than when by the time 3rd edition came out, the whole satanic panic was done. I mean, that was proven to all be fabrication, and I think that when 3rd edition came out, that allowed a lot of the people that had been sheltered because of that to get out of the shelter and realize, oh, okay, well, this is actually a fun game. And I think that is what kind of pushed people into it, or not push, but allowed people. It gave people the space. Have the courage and allowed people the space to get into it.
Well, likewise,
and it was a good system.
If
and
5th
3rd edition also came out at a great time because the bullseye, so to speak, had moved from role-playing games to video games.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah. I mean, Mortal Kombat.
Oh, I see what you're. Okay, I just got what you meant by that. Yeah. I would say that 5th edition accomplished very much that exact same thing that you just described with 3rd edition, but just with a different generation. Because 5th edition captured all the people who weren't born yet.
Yeah.
So,
Tori, is there something you want to say?
Huh?
What are you saying about people who weren't born yet?
Meaning, those that weren't around in the 1st and 2nd edition or were born during 3rd edition. Because obviously an edition spans a number of years.
Yeah.
But because one of the things I heard talked about that Stranger Things influence, at least other channels have said this, that, oh shoot, I just realized the thingy down there. We're supposed to be wrapping this up. Whoops.
Keep talking.
One of the other channels mentioned that Stranger Things, less so that it was just getting new people into it. It was, but that also it was getting people who had played it when they were younger to play it again. People who had stopped playing it. Like you play it when you're in school, college, whatever, and then you stop. I mean, that's what happened to Steve too. He played it when he was college and then he stopped. A lot of people, I guess, had that experience where they played it when they were younger. And then as adulting took over and they had kids, houses, families, jobs, they stopped playing it so much. And Stranger Things in 5th edition, and namely everybody being trapped inside their house for a while, rekindled this whole thing and got back into it. So 5e definitely had its place in the lineup of what I would call good systems. In that way.
So, to slightly circle back as to 3 things I wanted to mention. 1, Game Masters. Dragon number 1 will always have best Greyhawk Artificer. Because that shit rocks. That fucking Artificer, Jesus Christ. That is so fucking awesome. It is the perfect Greyhawk Artificer as well. Like,
It's a fun one.
yeah. And I have to stress that point enough because, like, you get people who are more dominated by the 5e idea that, oh, any class can be in anything, right? And to a degree that's true, but it's about how that class is utilized. Yes, an
Right.
Artificer can be in Forgotten Realms, Eberron, Dragonlance. But
I think,
Artificer,
yeah, and I think that's the bigger point that a lot of, I think, newer players don't quite grasp. Like you have, so different settings exist because they were uniquely different. You had what was the feudal one?
Oriental Adventures?
No,
Rokugan?
not Oriental feudal. The oh crap! It starts with a B.
Birthright?
Second edition. Birthright. Thank you. Birthright was very nation versus nation oriented. It was less, let's create a party of 5 characters. It was more, let's create a kingdom of, and you're going to create a kingdom, and you're going to create a kingdom, and you run that way. So it was wildly different than Forgotten Realms, which was wildly different from Ravenloft, which was wildly different from Spelljammer. And it stands to reason that how you play an artificer in Eberron would be completely different than an artificer that would exist in Forgotten Realms. Like the play style would be different. The abilities would be different. Ultimately, if you boil it down to its base, yeah, it's a character that's going to create shit. Okay, sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
Like a wizard is going to have magic. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. A wizard is going to have magic. A cleric is going to also have magic, but a cleric is going to focus on healing. But how that happens is different from setting to setting. And that's what bothers me so much about 5th edition is it's all the same. Doesn't matter what setting you're in, it's all the same. So it kind of makes settings a very moot point. Now, I get that yes, it is cool that I can take a character from Forgotten Realms and have it seamlessly move to Dragonlance. I have a hard time making it make sense that a cleric can still work in Dragonlance because I grew up in an era where clerics didn't exist in Dragonlance because the gods were shut off and they couldn't get their spells from those gods. But 5th edition doesn't put that restriction on.
Like the blue stuff turning up was a huge deal because suddenly someone could heal people.
Yeah. Yes. And that was a big difference. I mean, it was like, wait, whoa, okay. But that's one of my chief complaints about 5th edition is it's just one giant universal setting. There's nothing that really distinguishes, Dragonlance from Forgotten Realms, from Eberron, from, whatever.
And see, this is part of like I don't think people get when I complain so much about the Artificer, which is it's a perfectly fine 5th edition Artificer if you're going for that Forgotten Realms, that current Forgotten Realms kind of vibe.
Right.
Sure, it works fine. It doesn't work for Eberron. It most certainly does not work for Greyhawk. It doesn't really work for Dragonlance. It does kind of, but it doesn't at the same time. There's all these different aspects that, like, yeah, it's fine. It's also not fine.
Right.
And it's very hard to kind of not make a 20-minute rant trying to go over every single point. Because it's like, are you actually going to read what I've got to say on via this essay I'm about to write to you? Or are you just going to skip through and just like read the last thing and be like, no, I don't agree with that? And it's like, there's a lot of nuance in this.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
Go away.
Oh my goodness, this is not where I need to sit down and redo my spreadsheet, because this is like I'm trying to figure out what I still need to get all the area conquests so that I can get Orange Celestial Weapon, and I feel like I'm overcomplicating it. I think I just need like a bullet list of go to these areas, get these things.
Yes, Canticle. Like, as in someone wrote something. Although I will, go back and agree. Yeah, and that's what the original campaign settings used to be.
Right.
Basically, a tutorial of how you run in this setting.
Yep.
And granted, if you don't want to run that setting, if you want to use it as a toolbox of like picking out ideas to make for your home game, that was completely there. It didn't feel like you were restricted from it, though.
Right.
5e, like, it's not a small thing to say that making racial variants for the dragon marks rather than having them as feats really screwed that up. Because it limits the idea of, oh, I've got to keep like the dragon marks like this for Eberron. No. If I want to just use the dragon marks, they should be a separate thing that I can just pull out, change the requirement for, and have it for whatever my game is going to be.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine how fun would it be if they had like what was just said about what Canonical said about having the red box tutorials? How fun would it be to have? Great. So you want to have characters that cross over from setting to setting. Nothing wrong with that. But how fun would it be to have an Eberron-based campaign, right? Where you've got a different group, a different party. I mean, you've got an artificer in there for sure. Warrior, okay, fine. Magic user, okay, fine. You know, a ranger, whatever. And another player comes along. Well, I want to play this. I want to play an artificer as well. Well, we've already got one. Yeah, but I really want to play one from Forgotten Realms.
I'm going to go ahead and
we know
bounce,
that there
guys.
is.
No worries.
Do what?
I'm going to go ahead and bounce. Sorry to interrupt. I'm going to go ahead and bounce and take care of the cat and stuff. But thanks so much for having me on. It was phenomenal. And I'll listen to you. I'll catch the back half of this later. I'll see you guys.
Right.
No worries.
But we know that there are methods of moving from realm to realm. And I'm not saying Forgotten Realm, just saying, setting to setting. Okay.
Yeah.
Whether it's Spelljammer, whatever, or a portal, whatever. We know Merlin, for example, that was an artificer gunslinger that was able to do that. But how fun would it be? Okay, now I have the Forgotten Realms artificer pop up in Eberron, they may have the same name, they may be the same class, but how they're played is very different. What they have access to is very different.
Yep.
And they're able to complement each other, as opposed to you've got two characters that do the exact same thing.
Like,
And that's what I think was missing so much in 5th edition, is you really needed to have setting specific information.
like in the 3.5 game I'm in, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm specifically playing an artificer from Eberron.
Right.
In the party, however, there's already someone who's got the factotum class, which can kind of do what the artificer does, but can also kind of take bits from other classes as well. And so, like, that's kind of been their artificer in the game. But now that I'm there, there's like a completely different dynamic as to how their class works to how my class works, and the way I approach things and things like that. Like, they're still coming to terms with the fact that I can just look at things and identify them for them.
Yeah.
Because, one of the things I purposely grabbed was the artificer monocle with identify on it. So
Right.
just, oh, look, yeah, this can do this. Yep, there you go. And it's like, they don't have that stuff because it was in the Eberron books, and they have all the Eberron books at the game, but they've never used them before.
Oh,
And now
wow.
here I am like, oh, I'm playing an Eberron artificer. Allow me to show you what kind of fucked up shit we're about to get up to.
Yeah. Or, I mean, how wicked cool would it be? You're running through your with your Eberron artificer, and this one shows up and is able to teach your... Now, this is where I would say, okay, what if this one was able to teach yours how to use the spheres that are in this?
Or make one for yourself. Yeah. Like,
or make one for yourself, right? That would be... Yeah,
that shit would
I mean,
be
that...
awesome.
Yeah, it would be. And that is when I can understand how one from one setting can be very similar to one from another setting. But until that barrier is crossed, I just don't accept that they're all the same. I don't know. I just don't like it. I mean, it's a little bit different. Maybe a warrior is a warrior is a warrior. You pick up a sword and you swing it. Okay. But
yeah, but that's... You can make the counter argument, like, okay, yeah, a warrior is a warrior is a warrior, but like a fighter in Eberron, especially when Eberron's setting takes place, they're probably at the very least a trained mercenary who went through the last war.
right.
They probably have a good understanding of guerrilla tactics.
Yeah.
Whereas in Forgotten Realms, probably not so much. And then you go to, I don't know, Rokugan. That fighter's a samurai.
Right.
Completely different, but
Right.
also the same.
Right.
So yeah. I think there is still a basis that classes exist, but the theme of them changes by the setting.
Yeah.
I think that needs to be brought back.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm about ready to bounce as well.
Yep. Ditto. So Jesus Christ. All right. Well, yeah, let's start this thing, shall we?
Okay.
We've had a great, pre-stream chat, so let's get this going, shall we? Swaz de Lacera, I am Zerfus, the Down Under Space Pirate. I always went straight into procrastinating. The whole reason why I cut that out was because it was too much of a mouthful to get out, and yeah, I'm still stuck on it. Anyway, welcome to Talkin Drek. This is where we talk about bullshit. And with me here is Remove the Space.
Space.
Yeah. Hello, Remove the Space. How are you?
Good.
Yep. Now, we were going to have the lovely TN Tori and the not as lovely Gaming with ADHD here, but unfortunately they had to bounce before we started the stream. So what do you think we should be talking about today?
I think
Time
we
is
should
relative.
talk about